Colleagues, General Nair, General Manjit Singh, Narendra, have played a very critical role in shaping up this Bharat NCX in collaboration with RRU. So, I would like to broadly highlight certain aspects because as CISOs, you are the front line in the cyber defense of the country. You have a very large role to play. Just as our soldiers in the borders, you are also there everywhere. And this is a great responsibility because the reasons are that our digital systems, all of you would have seen how the digital revolution has shaped in the international theatre as well as in the national level also. At the national level, in fact, it is faster than at the international level. The e-governance, the digital payment systems, the e-banking systems, and so on and so forth. Today, if you look at India, the digital literacy is far higher than the normal language literacy. That's the way from the across the borders. People have appreciated the way our digital systems have been built up. There are many good things which have happened. A person who may not be able to read and write any particular language is very efficiently able to harness the UPI systems. So this is something which the digital revolution has brought in. I would say this is actually a digital explosion. So having said that, you have to be also on guard against what you call as digital dystopia. So it can cause social disruptions if unchecked. So, or unregulated, or if you are not in a position to properly handle these digital systems, because it is going spontaneously. So you will have to also have a kind of a structured and organized response to shaping up the cyber defense and cyber resilience. So therefore, in this kind of environment, the roles of CISOs are very important, especially if you look at from the earlier we had a very reactive approach, episodic responses, but now you have to be constantly alert and you have to be proactive and with a lot of prognosis how to preempt such cyber strikes. So this is a very important responsibility, and the critical infrastructure which we have, which is practically involving the normal citizens, common man. Like you take telecom sector, you take power and energy sector, the ship and ports, health, insurance, so on and so forth. So in these kind of scenarios, if there is a kind of some disruption happening, imagine a situation where a person's privacy is lost. So this is going to be a very important aspect which you need to factor. And the cyber crimes which are taking place, from there we have gone into kind of major attacks on the critical infrastructures. This is a big challenge, and you have a great responsibility as CISOs to fulfill. And this is the age of hybrid war, and cyber weapons are on the rise. So one needs to be fully aware of the developments which are taking place. If you look at the cyber threat landscape, from the traditional malwares which leave their signatures, which we know their C2Cs, we know how their file systems are. We have now moved into the latest world of living of the land attacks, LOTL it's popularly called. As per one private group which has done a study, 5 out of 10 attacks which are taking place in critical infrastructure are in the recent times, or of living of the land attacks. Here, in this, there is no program which is directly launched. You can't find a file actually. It's a fileless transmission into the PowerShell and Windows management instrumentation. So the SOC will not be able to detect also. So this is the kind of situation where you indicators of attack and all, you have to do a very good prognosis and build systems which are resilient. So therefore the responsibilities are far wider in this regard. So we need to also factor in the current cybersecurity landscape the kind of ransomware attacks which are taking place, where people sometimes are even tempted to pay off the ransom rather than mitigate, because mitigation takes about a few more days, few more weeks, and then the kind of the hospitality, hotel, or any kind of, even for that matter, health management. So that loss will be far more than the ransom. So people ultimately pay off. So such kind of things, one should be able to be prepared and take preventive measures. And similarly, as General Manjit Singh has said, the supply chain attacks which are also on the rise. So we need to factor that. We need to see what kind of softwares are being brought in, what kind of small hardware devices are being inducted into the critical infrastructure. So therefore, the responsibility is far higher. And most importantly, what we are seeing of late in the cyber actors, who are posing a threat, is their ability to do the social engineering. When doing phishing attacks or doing supply chain attacks or ransomware attacks, they are able to simply tell a person who is even well-educated, cyber-educated person also, to just change the password. The time for you to change the password, by then they would have found a kind of gateway into which they will have access where your new password is saved. So that's how these kind of attacks are getting prominent. This is also part of the living of the land attack. So you need to see how these challenges are likely to be factored in your system. I do understand, as General Nair has said, you have lots of challenges in convincing your management. You need to upskill your people, whether you will get from your HR people who are well-talented, very well-talented and well-trained, and also ability to conduct necessary security measures, and cyber security measures, and upgrading the hardware and software aspects. So these challenges are there, but then you also need to have a good soft skills in being diplomatic in convincing the management. So the challenge today is not just being proficient in your cyber domain itself. The challenge is also your ability to convince people at the management level. Number two, how to do the knowledge transfer, upskilling of everyone, creating awareness. Creating awareness among the employees also is very critical, and this also it's a multi-dimensional effort. So CISO's job is on the day-to-day basis, if you look at it, it's going to be more and more challenging. So these are the aspects you need to develop, and you need to also have a kind of a strategic approach. The entire access, this Bharat NCS exercise is to have this, the CISO's conclave in particular also, is to build this strategic approach to make you proactive and have a predictive mindset actually. We have done lots of simulations, as it has been explained in the earlier speakers, also in the the small video which has been made. There have been lots of interactive sessions, then various threat actors, landscape, their interface, IT, OT systems, and all these aspects have been well explained. So while you are doing building an ecosystem level at your critical infrastructure, we are working on it. That is, NSCS is along with other agencies involved in cybersecurity are involved in a kind of a strategic level approach to empower all of you in terms of in the technologies, in terms of building a resilience, and also to bring the latest practices, and above to how to mitigate the challenges which are coming. So, and another important aspect I would like to mention is we need your cooperation. It has to be on an interactive basis, and this cybersecurity exercise, though it is done for 10 days or 11 days, it's not going to stop with that. It has to be a 24/7 basis. You need to be mentally prepared, and you should also be reactive, and you should contribute through our threat intel framework actually. At strategic, tactical and operational and technical level, if you are able to give us inputs on this threat intel, this will be very useful for us to build a good cyber defense. So during the course of the day, I think you can identify points of contact, Manjit, and then let us work on building a continuous and constant relationship with all the CISOs. So whatever inputs they give will help us in forming a policy. Number two, addressing at a macro level also, and also at some stage we can also evolve a CISO guide actually. So this will be helpful, and the cyber range is an evolving effort where, as General Nair has said, the indigenous platform will eventually come. Sector-specific approaches, constant exercise will also be done, and it will be a good place to actually check where we stand actually.